Welcome back, guys. I just wanted to give you guys another update, and the latest update is about the semen analysis that I had requested a little bit ago already. It's been quite some time since I've asked for it, but the doctor obviously came back. He was on a 2-week vacation. Then when he came back, Matt and I happened to be out of town, so it wasn't until the doctor came back and we came back from vacation that we were able to meet with the doctor. So long story short, the doctor said that Matt had a low sperm count. He did say that the 2 IUIs and the second semen analysis did all match. So by them, sorry, this camera seems a little off. It's driving me crazy. Anyway, so the semen analysis, the second semen analysis and the 2 IUIs, the numbers all matched. He did say that he was surprised with the first analysis because the first analysis said that he had a semen count of 90 million versus the IUIs, and the second one, they were all very consistent with each other. So I told him I was pretty convinced that they either entered an extra 0 behind that 9 to make it 90 million, or there was a mix-up between semen samples, and he agreed. He pretty much agreed, like something was wrong with the first one. There was no way that his semen sample could have dropped that much in just a few months. And not only that, Matt had done the labs, and like I said in the last video, or in 2 videos ago, whenever it was, his labs came back where his testosterone levels were low. And he said, yeah, that pretty much matches the semen sample. So low testosterone labs came back, and which of course causes low semen count. And then there was something that was high, and he was like, oh, that high is taken away from the testosterone, which is why there's a low testosterone level. I can't tell you what it is. I should have looked at the labs so I can tell you guys, but either way, sorry, I have some notes here because I felt like there was a lot. So from that consult or follow-up or consultation, a lot happened, and the course of our treatments have changed, and mostly because he says, when I told him that Matt was going to China for 2.5 weeks, which would throw off our 3rd IUI, because the week that Matt would have come back, we would have done the IUI, and so his China trip was extended. But either way, even if it wasn't extended, my cycle started 2 days early. So even if Matt would have come back when he was supposed to, chances are we would have missed it either way. We would have missed that window. So what the doctor said was, oh, and I don't know if I mentioned this in the other video. So when he did the last IUI, we had another doctor from a different location do our IUI, and we brought up the fact that we wanted to possibly freeze his sperm so that we could do an IUI this month. And the doctor said that he didn't think it was worth it, just because one, it costs more money. Obviously you have to freeze it than thaw it. So that costs money for each one of those things. And then he was like, the sperm quality goes down. And then the fact that Matt has already low sperm count, it'll be even less. So that doctor from the other location, actually, I think he's the founder of the clinic, said that he honestly didn't think it was worth it. So I don't think I mentioned that in the last video. So we did not choose to freeze the sperm. And when we told our doctor about, our doctor was explaining the whole low sperm, low testosterone. He also reminded us that, hey, don't forget that from your results from the CA-125, my results, he's like, I'm still convinced that you might have mild endometriosis. So your success rate for these IUIs don't seem to be high now. Not that they were high. If you ever look into the success rates for IUIs and with unexplained infertility, they're extremely low, like extremely low. From the first clinic we went to, there was probably a less than 10% chance of success. So we already knew going into these IUIs that we had a very slim chance of getting pregnant, but you gotta try something. So he suggested maybe to put Matt on meds to help increase his sperm count. He said he doesn't know if it would help, but trying, you have nothing to lose by trying. So he recommended that Matt go on a combination of Clomid and Arimidex. And so I can't remember which one of the two. There's one that he has to take twice a week, and the other one is 3 times a week. So pretty much the way we did it was, Tuesdays, Thursdays, Monday, Wednesday, and Fridays. And so he gave us the option of that and doing a third IUI whenever, we can. Or he said the other option is to go through with IVF. And he seemed pretty confident that with IVF we would have a much higher success rate, and obviously we would. But he seemed pretty confident with that. And so he was like, you guys can decide what route you want to do. Do you want to do the meds in IUI or meds with IVF? And Matt and I have decided to move forward with IVF. Actually at the appointment, we decided to go with IVF. The doctor was pretty happy and immediately was like, okay, he knew that day that I was on cycle day 2. So as soon as we said we wanted to do IVF, he was like, whatever else, kind of like the closing or the conclusion of that, he was like, okay, that's great. I'm gonna not only put Matt on the 2 meds, but I'm gonna put you on birth control. He's like, we don't want you to ovulate. We want to keep those eggs, we want to preserve the eggs. So since he knew I was on cycle day 2, he's like, we're going to go in and do an ultrasound right now. I want to see your follicles. Which, as always, that's like the worst feeling ever. Like, one, I was not prepared for it. I don't know why. At this point, I just need to, every time I go into the doctor, I just need to assume I'm going to do an ultrasound, because not even just there, like even at the other clinic, they just they love to check women. So one, I was shocked again because I wasn't ready to do an ultrasound. 2, Matt was there and it was cycle day 2, and I've always done the ultrasounds during the beginning of my cycle on day 3. Day 2, as a lot of women, it's like probably their heaviest flow, might be a little bit TMI. So it was like super I was super nervous, especially since Matt was in the room. I was like, okay, we're doing this. So I was like, Matt, like, look but don't look. So he was like, okay, I'm gonna have someone prep the room. So while we're waiting in there, the doctor peeks his head really quickly, and he was like, when was it that your husband was coming back from China? And I was like, oh, he's coming back on such and such date. And he actually was just like, that is actually perfect timing. He said, we're gonna put you on 3 weeks of birth control. So by the time he gets back, not only will you be finishing your birth control, he will be finishing his meds, and my cycle will start. So as soon as we get back, he gets back Friday, that Monday, we're meeting with someone else in the clinic, and I think it's kind of like an IVF specialist. I don't know. So specifically for the IVF process, we're meeting with someone, and he was really excited. He was like, that is perfect timing. So we went in, and the doctor went in, and there's a screen for Matt to see, and I could see as well. And he was like, oh, look, you can see like the follicles on this side, follicles on that side. They're like, you know, really small. So we did the ultrasound, and he was a little rough, but he showed us the follicles. And from there, he said they had scheduled an appointment for us to meet with the IVF specialist. I want to call her that, or him, I don't know. Again, for that following Monday. So we left, and I felt a little, not overwhelmed, but like almost like, holy moly, this is seriously happening. Like, I was already like, wow, we're in this process, which blows my mind that never in a million years that I think I would be in this process. But then now that we're going with the extreme version of IVF, I was a little bit more shocked. So when I got home, like maybe an hour or two later, I looked at my personal email. It had 12 emails from the clinic. And I was shocked. I was like, whoa, I was literally not expecting all those. I wasn't expecting any emails from the clinic. And so when I look at the emails, it was all the consent forms for the IVF. And I'm just going to go over really quickly what each one was. I actually have not finished signing them because, one, I have questions, and two, some of them I want to come in agreement with Matt because I was kind of surprised by some of the questions and things you don't even think about. So the first one was, it was an education video. It was education videos, let me clarify that. It was 12 education videos from the very beginning. Like first video was kind of an introductory video. And then it went through every single process. The first one was introductory, just, hey, you're going into this, blah, 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 to what to expect from the beginning, what the egg retrieval process is like, what it's like to freeze the embryos, what are the risks of all of this, what are the risks of birth. It literally went into such detail that I never knew in the IVF process, that Matt and I, as we were watching it, like we both reacted to certain parts of the videos the same way. And I would have to pause it like, holy moly, like that is crazy, this process that specifically I am going to go through. So I got really, really nervous, especially like some of the risks. You're just like, wow, like, if you guys ever have a chance to look into it and go into depth, I would, just because if you ever know anyone who's going through this, know that they're going through a lot to have a child. So that was a first email. So it was 12 videos with 11 quizzes. So except for the first one, all the other videos had a like 2 to 5 question quiz. The next email was Zika consent. Obviously Zika is still a thing, and there are risks involved if you contract the Zika virus. The next one was the ICSI, and that's pretty much in the situation where the sperm does not fertilize with the egg, then the clinic will go ahead and pick out a sperm and pretty much fertilize the eggs themselves. Then the next 3 were about the cryopreservation. Those 3 forms are the only forms I have not signed, again, and that's because 1, I have questions, and 2, I have to agree with Matt, like, with some of the questions. And one of them is, if one of us were to die, what would happen to the embryos? Do we donate them? Does the surviving person keep them and get to use them? Or does the clinic dispose of them in an ethical way? Something that we didn't even think about. We've never done this, so we didn't even think that was even a thing. Then the other question was, if both of us were to die, what would the clinic do to the surviving embryos? And again, it's the same thing. Like, do they donate it to someone else, or I think it might just be donating it or disposing of it in an ethical way. I don't know if there's a third one. But either way, those are the 3 that I have not signed yet. And the next one is eligibility screening for anonymous embryo donation. Again, that's if with my surviving embryos, do I want to donate it to someone else? CDC consent. I can't remember what that was. The next one was, I've already signed these a while ago. Mind you, this whole follow-up with the doctor was already a week ago, and I'd have to go back through these emails to see exactly what was in them. But the next one was a CDC consent, and then the following one was the gonadotropins side effects consent. The next one was informed consent for IVF and embryo transfer. So that one just went through kind of like a step-by-step of what the IVF process is. Authorization for use of donor sperm was the next one. We're not using donor sperm, so we obviously declined that one. And client information form records release. So I guess to release our records, I believe it was to, I think it was, maybe the CDC one was the one. No, this one was releasing the information to the CDC and to the cryopreservation company. I believe that's the one that it was. But either way, I received 12 emails within 1 to 2 hours after our consultation with the doctor. We've watched all the videos. I've signed all the documents except for 3, and Matt needs to sign a few of them still. I told him, please don't just sign them, read them. He's not here. He is in China. I want him to be on the same page with me. And I just have to forward him right now the 3 emails of the cryopreservation ahead of time before I sign it, so that we can come to agreement what we want to do with the embryos. But yeah, that's pretty much where we are at. I just wanted to give you guys that quick little update. Well, it's not quick, it's kind of long. This is a long video, but it's a lot of information. So just a quick recap. Matt has low testosterone, which causes low sperm count, and doctor is still convinced that I do have mild endometriosis, which is the real cause to our infertility. So IUIs have a very, very, very low success rate, and we are on our way to IVF, and it will be this month. So until next time, guys, you know what's up. Comment below and wish us some luck. Bye, guys.